you surprised Embiid has the Sixers up 3-2?
First of all, with all due respect to the rightful MVP, he doesn't have the Sixers up 3-2. This is not like Steph Curry leading the Warriors or Jokic leading Denver. This is a team, and let me give James Harden credit. They both are doing their thing. Now, Embiid's been great, but to say Embiid has them up to, I don't think it's fair because James Harden, obviously, the first game, Embiid wasn't even there, and James Harden carried them. And then in Game 4, that pivotal Game 4, when Embiid was struggling in the fourth quarter, Harden carried them and hit the game-winning shot. So
Embiid made a great pass on that play.
Yeah, but remember, Harden had 10 points in that fourth quarter when Embiid was struggling. So I think both of these guys have them in this position. To answer your question, no, I'm not surprised. I'm beyond surprised.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
I'm astounded.
Shocked.
I'm flabbergasted. I'm thunderstruck. I'm serious. Because, Nick, and you guys know this.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I had 12 toes. I said I want to be more than 10 toes down.
Shouldn't have been, though.
Of all of the series.
Yeah.
And my series predictions are struggling right now.
No,
all right? There's life support right there. But even though I picked the Knicks, I knew Jimmy Buckets was a problem. And, okay, I wouldn't be surprised if they win. Even though I picked the Warriors, you know I've always talked about the Lakers with that size. That's going to be a problem for them. Even though I picked Phoenix, I mean, Phoenix doesn't have depth, so I knew Denver could do something with it. Yeah, I'm like, no, don't act like you didn't realize it. Don't act like you didn't realize it.
Crazy.
I just beat you to the punch.
Because I'm going to go
You've been waiting for what you think is the right time. Well, first of all, I'm not saying my series are over. But this is the one I felt the most certain about. I said I have there wasn't a fiber of my being that thought Philadelphia could beat Boston. So I am very surprised. And congrats to Harden, he was a reason. Harden and Doc, I was like, I've seen this before, and it ain't good, so I get him
So this is what is interesting to me. Because Brew, not only is he not alone in being shocked by this, not alone in thinking Boston was clear and away the best team amongst the media, they were damn near even money against the field for the title a week ago. The whole basketball world seemingly landed on, oh my goodness, for Philly to beat Boston, don't see how they do it. And you can't say, it's because Embiid was hurt. That's not true. Right. When Embiid was back and the series was 1-1, everyone still was like, okay, they stole one, but then Boston got it back. Boston's in the driver's seat. And it is because of preconceived notions rather than a 5+ month body of work. For the last,
but well-earned preconceived
okay, but I'm going to get to those in a moment. For the last 5 months, who's been the best team in basketball? We can show it to you. It is the Philadelphia 76ers. By a wide margin, by the way, over the Boston Celtics, who are fourth place on that, and the Bucks, who are out of the playoffs. Okay, but what about peaking at the right time? Once the teams did their trade deadline stuff on buyout acquisitions. Since the All-Star break, who has been the best team in the East? It's been the Lakers in the West and the Sixers in the East. What about in the playoffs? One team swept someone this entire postseason across the league. The Sixers. One team won multiple games without their best player playing. The Sixers. And it's like, the reason is because Harden's history. Harden is a second best guy. What team's second best guy do we say, they can't win unless he's awesome all the time? Clay has up and down games. Jaylen Brown has up and down games. We have seen
he's got the ball in his hand.
I understand, but everybody's second best guy in these postseason is up and down. And then it's, what about Embiid? And this is the part that's surprising to me. The vast majority of the media that voted Embiid MVP were voting for him MVP, evidently believing, but he can't do it in the playoffs. There's no chance he comes through in the playoffs. Philly has the best player in the series. They have the more experience. And I understand all Doc Rivers' concerns. Well, not when the other team's version of Doc Rivers is 34-year-old Joe Mazzulla. And so this is shocking to everyone seemingly but me that looked at a team and said, Daryl Morey built a 9-deep team that can go to Daniel House off the bench and he can give you 10 points, even though he hasn't played in forever. That you brought in P.J. Tucker, a winner, a champion, yet asked Harden to take a slightly lesser role, asked Maxey to continue on trajectory, and asked the league MVP to be league MVP.
Yeah.
So why is everyone, I don't know why we should be shocked by this.
I don't think it was looking at Embiid and thinking he couldn't deliver, although we've seen, like, Jokic hadn't delivered yet in the playoffs. We've seen other MVPs do that. It was on Harden and Doc. That's mainly why it was. And even when you talk about the regular season, if we just look at what they did this year. Well, look at what they did. Boston beat them 3 out of 4 times. So I'm just saying, like, and the regular season, as we've talked about, it's not quite what it used to be because so many stars sit out.
Sure, that's
so you
true.
got to be careful, as we see with these lower seeds that are deep in the playoffs now.
Well, the Celtics also underperforming. We'll turn our attention
Very
there.
much so.
Celtics got booed by their home fans. All right, Brew, are you giving the Celtics any chance down 3-2?
Absolutely. I am still very much on the Celtics. First of all, they're best when their backs are against the wall. Last year, go to Milwaukee, remember that. Game 6, down 3-2 in Milwaukee, win. Miami, same thing last year, Game 7.
They were up 3-2 in that series and blew a game.
Right,
Yes.
but backs against the wall, elimination game, they win Game 7. Second best road record in the NBA. So I'm with Boston on this. I'm sticking with the Celtics.
So here's, I understand.
No, I'm with the Celtics.
All right.
I understand.
And I think basketball-wise, Nick, just to throw this out.
Please.
They didn't shoot the 3 well last night, 31%. Horford 0 for 7.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
And they've shot it well, though, all the other 4 games. So I think they'll be good.
When's the last time they looked like a championship team?
Probably that Bucks game.
Fear of the Deer Friday.
Well,
That's what it was.
bring the deer
So
back.
that's 6 weeks ago. At any point in this postseason, have they put together consecutive excellent games? No, they haven't. Now, they put together consecutive wins. They won games 2 and 3. Consecutive excellent games? No. That's what they're going to need to do. They also have so many hallmarks of a team that is going to be in trouble. They have terrible vibes about them.
Yeah.
They had undeniably bad vibes, undeniably bad coaching. And their trademark last year was defense and toughness. This year, amongst playoff teams, this postseason, they are 10th worst in defense, or 10th best, I guess is the way you put it. They're 10th out of 16. Of teams still playing, they're 7th out of 8th. They are a team that if they are not hitting 40% of their threes, they don't win. And that
But
is,
they generally do.
well,
38% of their
correct,
threes.
but now
They're
it
one of
gets
the
a little
better teams
tougher in the
league.
postseason. It gets a little tougher under these circumstances. This is to me, this series, so much of the analysis of it has been what people decided in October these teams were and just weren't going to move. The Celtics have been supposed to be taking that next step for 7 years, and last year it kind of looked like they did. But then they not only lost their head coach unexpectedly, but they had already lost their number 1 assistant. So this isn't like, oh, Brad Stevens stepping down, we have a plan in place. Out of nowhere, they had to replace a huge part of their team. They also then, throughout the year, started to have really odd, what I would call vibes in related to their second best player because he finally got tired of the fact they kept trying to trade him.
But here, look, that's not new. Like you said, he finally got tired of it. That's been going on for years.
Yeah.
And you talk like they had the worst record. They're the 2 seed.
No.
They had a better record than Philly. You can show that from a certain date, but over the 82 games, Boston had the better record.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, and Missoula is struggling. But Doc Rivers, who's been very good in this series, I will give Doc credit, but he has a history of blowing leads. We know he's the only coach in NBA history to drop more than 1 3-1 game lead, and he's done it 3 times.
And he's blown 3-2
So,
leads, and he's blown
this
2-0
thing is
leads.
not over.
I understand that, but and I get what you're saying, that is, over the 82 games, they had the better record. I understand that. But they also did not, at any point this year, look as good as, to me, they looked last year. And last year, they weren't good enough. And this year we're supposed to believe that they were. I mean, this team
Well, they
was
were
the
good enough to get out of the East.
No, correct. But I'm saying good enough to win the title. They were the favorites to win the title.
So can we put some of this on Tatum then? Tatum's
Go
the
ahead.
best player. I'm like, I'll blame the first-year coach. Like, nah, blame the MVP candidate. Here's Jason Tatum at the 6-minute mark in the second quarter. 4 points, hadn't hit a shot, hadn't hit a three. Hey, making some free throws, and minus 12. Now, oddly, he heated up. I guess not odd that he heated up, but the odd part is the stat line at the end of the game.
Well, it's
like,
the second time
he
that's
had a
happened.
great
Remember,
job.
he started 0 for 8. The game he almost had 20 and 20. And then
Brown started well, and Tatum hasn't, and Tatum's finished.
So, Brew, in that Milwaukee game you're talking about, he scored 46 points, that game 6. Can we just say, hey, it's your time to shine here. We need a 40-plus from you. And can he do it?
Because he can definitely do it.
Okay, then do it.
They got 2 stars, though. Jaylen Brown might do it, but one of them has to do it.
Then Tatum has to do it.
Okay.
Tatum's the guy. He has to
He can do it. How many did he have last night?
last night Tatum had 36, but it felt. But that's
I get it. The game wasn't close, but I'm just saying.
I mean, getting layups while
by
they're
the way, if
booing
people didn't
the
watch, this 12-point margin is far closer than it actually was.
Yeah.
This was a 21-point game
Right.
when Philly took its starters out, and then Peyton Pritchard and others, Hauser came in, hit some threes, and all of a sudden made it look like it was respectable. This was a home critical playoff game. They lost. They lost a critical home playoff game to Atlanta in the previous round. They lost a critical home playoff game in the finals that helped flip the NBA Finals. What set up the Game 6 heroics from Jason Tatum last year was a home Game 5 loss where they had a double-digit lead. Championship teams don't typically are 500 over 2 years of the playoffs at home, which you tweeted out the stat, which I'm pretty sure you took from somebody, but I give you credit for it because I saw it from you first. They're 9-10 in the playoffs. So didn't you tweet it out? I thought you
Perhaps.
did. 9-10 in the playoffs. So at home over the last 2 years.
I did not. That's not a tweet I send out.
Okay, all right. Then
That bolsters my point, though. Back against the wall. All those situations you brought up outside of Golden State, when the backs were against the wall,
it will be let me say this real quick before we move on. It will be, you retweeted it, okay. Wow. It will be a cataclysm for Philadelphia at this point if they lose the series. At this moment, you have the MVP, you haven't made it, you've made one conference finals in my lifetime. I'm 38 years old. They've been in the conference finals once since then. Is in from 85 to now, okay? And it was the Iverson year. Not the NBA Finals. They did make it. It's the Iverson year. They got to break through. They got to break through.
Denver won last night. Don't forget, we're going to still talk about the Celtics.
Yeah.
What would a Game 6 loss mean for the Celtics?
It would mean changes are on the way. Because what is this? 4 times in the last 7 years they've been to the conference finals. And they're still young. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are young, but they've been together a long time. And look, I would love, if I'm the Celtics, I want to keep Jason Tatum. But they're going to have to sit down with him and find out, like, are you and Tatum, are y'all together? No, did I say? I meant Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown. Sit down with Jaylen and Jason and find out, are we all on the same page if they lose this series? Are we all on the same page? Do you guys want to play the next 5 years together and win championships? And if they're cool with it, I'm keeping them. Mazzulla, a lot of criticism, 34 years old, got a contract extension, so I don't think he's getting fired, even though some people might like that. I think the extension will keep him there. But I threw together, I went Nick Wright. And put together a few ideas. Just want to throw these out. If Jaylen Brown, and we're going to have a heart-to-heart. If he's like, you know what, y'all have one to trade me, I won't have. How about Jaylen Brown and Robert Williams III for Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson?
No, the Knicks don't want to trade Jalen Brunson. Correct.
They would take for Jaylen Brown?
I'm
okay. How about Jaylen Brown for Jamal Murray? I'm not saying definitely, but something to consider. It works.
If Denver gets rolled by the Lakers and it looks like they don't have enough defense, that's an interesting.
And what about Jaylen Brown for Donovan Mitchell.
The Cavs are not doing that.
They got a point guard in
The Cavs are not
Darius
doing
Garland.
that. The Cavs are not doing that.
He really?
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell's a better player than Jaylen Brown. The Cavs are not
Barely, if that. He's not a defender. He's a defensive liability.
Bro.
The Knicks just wiped the floor with them.
I understand that.
I don't know.
Donovan Mitchell might not be in club superstar, but he at least is on, on
should be in
the
line.
potential invites. Donovan Mitchell, I'm saying.
Jaylen Brown should be in line.
Nah, bro.
I thought you were going to give
Better
us something
two-way player.
a little bit more spicy.
I would think about Jaylen Brown for
throw
Donovan
Zion
Mitchell.
in there to get my attention.
Zion.
It's like you're like, ooh, interesting.
Donovan Mitchell? Cleveland just, how far are they going? They got a high scoring guard.
He's a better player than Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown gives you 20-something points and defense.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.